Greetings and bright blessings, croeso, and welcome
to Magic Soup, a super spiritual, wild, weird, and sometimes extremely witchy podcast hosted by myself, Holly Charles, also known as Holistic Holly, a channel, medium, teacher, facilitator, and guide, assisting those on a journey of spiritual awakening and exploration. I hope you enjoy the insights and information I share from my 20 plus years experience in the field. I simply ask that you listen with an open heart and open mind, taking what resonates and leaving what doesn't. Thanks for being here. Diolch yn fawr.
let's dive in.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 2 of Magic Soup. So great to have you here. I'm going to be talking today about the witch wound and conformity and the need for acceptance. I think that it's something that really we do need to talk about, especially if we are encouraging people to stand in their power, to step into the role of light warrior, light bringer, being the change we want to see in the world, taking drastic kind of action steps to be a positive role model or to be a way shower to others or to stand up and use their voice, even if their voice shakes. This witch wound doesn't just encompass witches, although it is prevalent, but it also covers so many other facets of our society that are deemed non-conformist, quote unquote abnormal. And, this is the super spiritual, wild, weird and witchy podcast, right? So we are going to be talking about all of these topics. But there's so many people that are still in the spiritual closet or keeping experiences to themselves, not sharing their gifts that perhaps have always been unlocked within them, or gifts that are emerging and flowering and they're not quite understanding what's going on with them, or are too scared to say it, to name it, to express it and talk about it with other people. So that's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to talk about today, because like I said, I think it's really, 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 really important. So for those of you who haven't come across this term or this expression before, the witch wound refers to a deep ancestral and collective trauma that is carried by individuals, especially women, stemming from historical witch hunts, persecution, the suppression of spiritual, intuitive, healing gifts and experiences. It manifests as fear of being seen and fear of speaking up, sharing yourself authentically. It manifests as self-doubt, as sometimes shame around spiritual practices or gifts, or fear of them, and fear of speaking one's truth to the world. It also comes with a subconscious belief that expressing one's power or wisdom or gifts or knowings or experiences will lead to rejection, punishment, persecution, and danger. Now, this wound is often carried through from past lives. It can be passed down through generations, not just through stories or cultural conditioning, but also epigenetically, shaping how people interact with their spirituality, their intuition, their self-expression. Now, epigenetics is when a traumatic event causes physiological changes within a person, which then impacts their DNA and the aspects of the DNA, the aspects of a person that are being expressed Okay, and as that is caused a physiological change in the genetics, that is then passed on through generations. Okay, passed down through generations, and this has been reported to have happened with spiritual gifts and being able to tap into spiritual gifts through times of religious persecution or religious reformation, where there was mass persecution and fear around these things. They became switched off within us because of the fear of the repercussions of people finding out about them. Okay, so the witch wound, it can show up as a hesitation in embracing one's spiritual path or pursuing one's spiritual path for fear of being labelled weird, strange, mentally ill, dangerous, evil, worshipping the devil. Too different. Okay, and it can really cause people to struggle with personal empowerment, about being authentic and true to themselves. And there is a big focus, I think, particularly with the energy coming in. As I'm at the time of recording, we are on a full moon. It's the Leo full moon, which is all about the reclamation of personal power. And I think that the idea for this topic came in a couple of days ago, and I feel that it's really poignant that I'm recording it with today's full moon and what that's all about, and clearing away what is holding us back and what's stopping us from standing in our power, in our sovereignty. So there are many ways that the witch wound can be healed and we can reclaim our power. In a nutshell, that is what the witch wound is, the definition of it. What's happening in the world at the moment, where we've shifted into an age of technology where we can connect with like-minded people across the world through social media, through our smartphones. It is definitely bringing communities together, and it's bringing people who are magic, who have had strange experiences. I don't necessarily mean always the witchy. It could be to do with extraterrestrial experiences, hauntings, ghost experiences that have been had, that people take to their deathbed because they're too scared to talk about it. And we're moving into an age now where we absolutely can talk about it. We need to talk about it. We incarnated to talk about it, because it's time to bring these things into the light of day. Now, I did psychology A-level when I was in school over 20 years ago, which is insane. And in the psychology A-level, we did a whole unit on conformity and the need to be accepted, or why we conform. And it is very much a survival mechanism. So we are not ostracized. So we are not cast out and cast away. If you think about, evolution and evolutionary traits, in order to be safe in times of hardship, we needed to be accepted by the community. We needed to be held within that community space. So if anything that would single us out as being different, or as being a threat, or as being frightening to other people, our very physical survival would be on the line. And so going back to what I was saying about social media and connecting communities of like-minded people sharing similar experiences, similar outlooks on life, it's giving people the strength to overcome that fear and to heal that witch wound in solidarity with others who think the same, feel the same, share the same experiences. So, the past life aspect of it, the ancestral aspect of it, the social conditioning aspect of it, the religious indoctrination aspect of it, it's very much a time now for us to overcome it. We incarnated now for a reason, and it definitely wasn't to play it small and to keep things in the status quo, for things to remain as they have been. We are here to absolutely make radical change, and the only way that we can do that is by stepping into our power and overcoming this witch wound. And I'm sure that so many people listening to this, if you're drawn to this podcast, that's the only reason that you would be listening. It's definitely not mainstream in any sense of the word. I'm sure that this resonates with you, that there are aspects that you have felt ashamed of. There are things maybe that you've kept to yourself that you haven't talked about with other people, or that, perhaps you're a witch talk fan, you watch these videos on social media, but you don't talk about them in your day-to-day life. You don't go into the office and discuss meditation or yoga or the crystals that you've got at home, the full moon ritual perhaps that you're going to be doing this evening to help clear what isn't serving you anymore, for fear of being teased. I mean, yes, okay, past lives, like I have memories of past lives where I've had several past life regressions, and over many of my past lives I have lost my life due to this very thing. And although we are not going to physically be harmed, I mean, perhaps in some countries of the world, absolutely, that may be true. I remember when I said to my brother I was a witch quite openly and plainly, he said to me, there's still countries in the world where they would kill you for saying that. And I was like, yeah, well, thank goodness I'm not in one of those countries. So, in Western society, and I guess less and less all the time, but there is still people teasing. There is still the keyboard warriors who are very strong in their opinion of being a skeptic, or believing that when you're dead you're gone, and if you can't see it, it's not real. I saw some very strong and quite confrontational, abusive comments on someone's post yesterday on Facebook. They were reaching out asking for recommendations for a psychic medium because they were looking for a reading, and there were people in the comments going, really going in on this woman, basically telling her, oh, you basically just asking for someone to lie to you for money, and they were being quite aggressive about it. And I've had experiences where, yes, online, I've had a lot of abuse online over the years because I'm obviously very outspoken and very open about my beliefs and my experiences. But I remember in my early days when I first started going to the spiritualist church when I was in my late teens, I lived in a flat with some friends, and there was my best friend's boyfriend at the time, actually. He was very aggressive in his skepticism. And we were talking about, spiritual experiences we had where we'd seen ghosts, or we'd felt presences, or received communication with us. And he got so angry, was so aggressive. It was very, very heated because he was so staunch in his view. And I think that then makes us more hesitant about who we talk to about it in the future. And this was in my own home. This was in my flat. So it's still a very real thing that people react this way. And it definitely comes from fear. I'm sure of that. And it definitely comes from this conditioning that, whether it's religious or whether it's the cult of science, and I say that with love, I am all for science. I don't think science and magic should be separated from each other at all. And I believe, I'm even working on a research project at the moment which is science-based, to collect evidence of connection beyond the veil And so I believe in science, but I also believe there's things that have yet to be proven by science. And there's a lot of science out there proving a lot of this magical, surreal, through the veil, higher consciousness stuff that just hasn't trickled its way out yet to mainstream awareness. But the studies are being done. There's a School of Noetic Science in America where they're studying how the mind affects matter and how consciousness is interactive with the surroundings. And there's a whole other podcast episode there, I'm sure, that I could talk about that. But it's the gap between science and spirituality is getting less and less every day. So these people who are still aggressively skeptical, they are the ones now that are seeing more culty, I think, in some ways. The cult of skepticism, where you could literally have an angel tap dancing in someone's face, blowing their hair, and really physically, tangibly being felt, and these people would still say no, absolutely not. So that's up to them. That's their path, right? It's not our path to convince anyone of anything. I said this in my first episode. It's not our purpose to convince anyone of anything. We are all here to have a different experience. We are all here to evolve in different ways. And it is never, ever on us to allow someone's ignorance, to allow someone's anger, to allow someone's skepticism or pessimism about things influence how we express ourselves and how we show up. And perhaps we experience these people to help us stand firmer in our convictions, to really strengthen us, to stand tall with our chests puffed out and our chin up to the sky, saying, this is what I believe, this is what I think, this is who I am, this is who I've shown up to be. So there are these experiences that are going to come our way, but we need to stand up and shine our light regardless. Okay, we lived those past experiences for a reason, and now we're here with a new purpose, a new task. So if there are things that you're drawn to, if there are things that you have an innate knowing about, I remember when I first started studying Ayurveda and Ayurvedic therapies. Ayurveda is the sister science to yoga. It's the health system from India. And when I first started studying that, I was getting such a sense of deja vu, such deep knowing of the philosophies and the teachings. I know this already, like I really knew it deep down in my bones, and then later on coming to realize I knew it because I'd lived it, because I spent a lifetime studying it in a previous life. So what is my point? What is it that I'm getting to? Is that we may experience skepticism, we may experience ridicule, but we have to move ourselves forward to a point where we love ourselves enough that we don't care what people think of us, and that we don't care about others' opinions if we know within our heart what we are pursuing hurts no one, harms no one, and it's what we feel in our bones to be true, what deeply resonates with our soul, what our soul is guiding us towards. And the only true way that we can find those that are like ourselves, that give us that acceptance that we need, is by flying our flag high, by being open and honest and true to ourselves. And yes, that might mean a falling away of certain people in our lives, maybe because it like our frequencies are not resonating on the same level. Their belief systems are just too different to our own. But I promise you, if you start to embrace your truth and what feels right to you, what you know to be true, you will magnetize towards you people that feel the same way, your tribe. All right? Now, I know that there are going to be some people out there going, yeah, but I live in a very religious community. All right, I'm from a very religious family. You don't understand what it would mean to start being really outspoken about this or pursuing these things. And I'm not saying that you have to immediately start wearing a witch's hat and constantly dressing in witchy attire, or carrying a crystal ball around in public, or like random vision. But I'm not saying that you immediately have to stand on a soapbox. Let me get the words out. Stand on a soapbox and start chanting and preaching. Like, absolutely, you don't. Small steps in the right direction with what feels right for you. But if you feel any fear around speaking up about any of this stuff, explore where that wound is for you. Explore where that witch wound lies within your life, within your inner workings, within your shadow work, and start to explore what is holding you back, why you're hesitating. And when you address that, like, our triggers are our teachers, okay? And it can show you where perhaps you don't feel empowered, or why you fear not being accepted. And sometimes we seek to be accepted by people that are really not that great, that don't really love us for who we are, but love us for who they think we are. And that can be a hard thing to realize and to accept. We also have to bear in mind that sometimes we expect to have a certain reaction from someone because we're projecting that. We're expecting them not to accept us because of the witch wound, and actually we're doing them a disservice and an injustice, because actually they are going to be willing to love us whatever we think about things, or whatever we do, whatever gifts we've had or experiences that we say we've experienced. So be careful that you're not filtering and censoring yourself around people that actually would love to hear about this side of you and would help you to fully embrace it. And what has really helped me on my journey is being loved unconditionally by people who see all of me and love me despite that. And like I said, there will be a falling away of some people, absolutely, but they are not your people. And it's better to be surrounded by the right people standing in your integrity and in your truth than the wrong people living a lie. And when we do that, when we embrace who we truly are, shine our light brightly, be honest and stand in our integrity, we give other people permission to do the same. So we are inspiring others without even know that we are doing that a lot of the time. And I think it goes back to that be that change that you wish to see in the world quote, from Gandhi. And, the fact that, we are the ones that we've been waiting for. So be that person that you've been waiting for. Be that inspiration that perhaps would have helped you step out of the spiritual closet when you were younger, so we can have that ripple effect to help others to feel brave and empowered to embrace the magic within themselves and that is around them, and to feel confident in doing so. If you really truly want to connect with your soul tribe, connect with these parts of yourself that is your soul calling you to explore certain things, Don't hesitate because of someone else's wounding. Don't hesitate from fears that are no longer based in a reality that you live in. Follow what your soul is calling you to, what you've lived in past lives, because you've come back now for a reason. You chose to incarnate on earth at this time of rapid transition, rapid change, paradigm shifting times, for a reason. You know, there is that expression, you know, if you were born into a society where you feel that you don't fit in, it's because you were born to create a new one, right? And that is so powerful. So stop dimming your light. Stop being frightened to be who you are. We're so lucky to be in this time of rapid change, and we're here to make that change happen. And it's going to happen so much more quickly. Excuse my phone going off there and a little vibrate. It'll happen so much more quickly the more we embrace these parts of ourselves that we've been afraid to show, or that in the past people would have been persecuted for. Whether that is just being a bold and outspoken woman, whether that is following your urge to heal and use your healing gifts, whether that is connecting with the earth and the cycles of nature, whether it is dabbling with witchcraft or manifestation. You know, witchcraft is just utilization of energy to bring about what it is that you want to create in your life. Okay, so keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on. Keep on pursuing, listening to podcasts like this, you know, diving into your own soul work, your own shadow work, for not just for yourself, but for the past life versions of you that were persecuted, that weren't in a world where they were free to express themselves. Do it for your ancestors who had to keep it small, who had to play it small and keep it safe and keep it hidden. For all of the women from generations and generations that were kept suppressed, stand up, shine your light. And this is not just about women, this is about men too. You know, we incarnate in male bodies, female bodies, we chop and change. Okay, so this is for everybody, not just for women. And so the time is now to be liberated, to shine brightly, and to explore what calls your name. And if you resonate with this, or you know anyone else that would resonate with this, please share this with them. If you would like some guidance and assistance on how to embrace your magic, or explore divination systems like tarot, or meditation to connect with your soul self, your higher self, and find out what it is you incarnated for, please reach out, connect with me. I do meditations online through Zoom 3 times a month. I do loads of workshops and masterclasses and events to actually help people with this stuff. So please reach out to me. You can also support my work through Patreon, where there are a number of different tiers, or with different benefits, where you can receive ongoing support, exclusive access to content made just for Patreon supporters, as well as the opportunity to get first glimpse looks at my offerings, as well as my videos. And it's a real interactive and beautiful community that's growing. So if you want to get involved, please go and check that out as well. It's www.patreon.com/holistic_Holly. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.
Thank you so much for spending time listening to my podcast. I really, really appreciate you, and I am truly, truly honoured. Remember, You incarnated now for a reason, so go out there and do some epic, magical, main character, spiritual warrior shit. Be brave, laugh, love, dance, sing, create, and play at every opportunity, and remember kindness first for yourself and others. Wherever in the world you're listening from and whatever time of day it is, I hope and I pray that the rest of your day is filled with magic. You are divine. Please don't forget to follow and subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you do not miss an episode, because who would want to do that? You can find me on Instagram and YouTube by searching holistic_Holly, by checking out my website www.hollysholistic.healing.co.uk, and I hope to catch you in the next episode of Magic Soup.